Good. Don't let it burn in the fire. And the city, let me live with yours. Let it not drag its mark into your prodigal world, this dark world. O mercy of the abyss.
The museum in the village of Skovorodynivka Kharkiv region is the main historical monument about the life of the outstanding philosopher of Ukraine, Hryhoriy Skovoroda. His works are a philosophy of the heart, humanity, which concentrates the Ukrainian spirit and against which the occupiers are fighting. On the night of Messive, 2022, the Russian military destroyed the National Literary Memorial Museum of Hryhoriy Skovoroda in the village of Skovorodynivka with a pinpoint rocket attack.
At night, around 11 at night, the whole village heard an explosion. The windows flew out, my door opened. Literally, in a second, my daughter-in-law jumped up and said, "The museum is on fire." She ran outside and saw what was on this side. My son was on duty at the museum that night. The feeling cannot be expressed. Everything was mixed at once. Pain for my son, pain for the museum. And she ran to the museum. When she reached the turn, she saw that there was a strong fire.
There were no victims only because the rescuers managed to pull Natalia Metsai's son out from under the bubble. He was wounded. The village of Skovorodynivka was never on the front line or under occupation. The military or any other strategic enterprise was not stationed here. It is located at a sufficient distance from the border, more than 40 kilometers, according to the investigators of the prosecutor's office. The invaders used an air-based cruise missile X-100-1A or X-100Y from 55 from strategic aviation planes to attack the museum. That is why such strong destruction occurred.
Firefighters arrived, but the fire was so strong that everything burned inside. The fire was extinguished, but the losses are great, as you can see. This is what the room in which Hryhory Skovoroda worked and rested looks like today. He came several times, lived for several months, and came here in the autumn of 1794. We know that he died November 9. A legend says that he dug a grave for himself in the garden, sent oak leaves from Chernuk, came, put on a clean shirt, and rested in eternal sleep.
When we talk about Hryhoriy Skovoroda, two things are emblematic of his work. The first is the philosophy of the heart, which Hryhoriy Skovoroda developed, and which was there in line with the European tradition and the development of existential philosophy and the doctrine of the three worlds and two natures. A lot of literature is devoted to this. As for the philosophy of Hryhoriy Skovoroda, it was at the level of that time. But the peculiarity of his philosophy is that it far outlived the age of its founder. And the philosophy of Hryhoriy Skovoroda is part of our national philosophy.
The cost of the rocket that the invaders used to hit Skovorodynivka is $30 million. It would have been possible to build 4 schools in Russia for this, but they decided to spend the money on the destruction of the Ukrainian museum.
Everything started quickly because the roof is made of wood. The roof collapsed. You see, they found the remains. I can't say what kind of missile it was, but there are remnants that it was a hit on this object. So they aimed at the museum and wanted to destroy the museum directly. I think they aimed at the museum. It was heard from Russia that Skovoroda is a Russian philosopher, but we know that he's a Ukrainian philosopher born in Chernuk. And his very spirit, he himself is Ukrainian by spirit. Apparently, knowing that we are preparing for the tricentennial celebration, this was purposefully done in order to once again cause trouble to Ukraine, Ukrainians, our culture. I don't know what to call it, it's a crime. And you have to answer for crimes.
Apparently, the enemy was not just aiming at the Hryhoriy Skovoroda Museum. The enemy knew that his teaching, his creativity is part of the basement of the Ukrainian worldview. The Ukrainian worldview, he wanted to destroy the Ukrainian worldview at its very foundations, the Ukrainian life world. He will not succeed and fail to do it. And we will restore the museum, and again, there will be conferences, and again there will be gatherings of school children, and again there will be Hrihory to students, and everything will be fine. Everything will be wonderful because he supports us in our aspirations. Hryhoriy Skovoroda.
Deadly wounds surrounded me. The troubles of Hades were unbearable. He will find fear and darkness. Oh, the hour of February. Every moment.
The deliberate destruction of culture, which is part of a nation's laferenza, is a sign of general genocide, the so-called cultural genocide. The Nazis acted according to this scenario with their program to paralyze eastern countries and fire from books, and the Soviet Chekists, who shot the Ukrainian Renaissance. The destruction of the Hryhoriy Skovoroda Museum is an unconditional war crime for which Russia will be held accountable in The Hague due to the deliberate destruction of Ukrainian cultural heritage. The Russian Federation was removed from the chairmanship of the UNESCO World Heritage Committee. The next step is exclusion from the organization, and the Skovorodynivka Museum Ukraine will restore it.
Almost everything was hacked. It was only necessary to take it out, but there are losses. We took out the most valuable thing, I won't say much. Everyone knows that we had Skovoroda's watch, his violin. These things are preserved.
During the decision was made to conserve this building, a minimal conservation, but it aims to save the building from precipitation. For today, winter is coming, autumn, so that we do not lose what we have for today. Further in parallel with this, full conservation project is being developed since we do not know how long the war will last. And after the victory, of course, we'll begin the restoration work, restoration of the entire museum complex.
There were architects. They said that everything can be restored. Of course, it is necessary to carry out examinations, continue to work, preserve a part.
What is freedom? What is the good in it? They say it's golden. No, it won't be a zloty. All the zloties are equal. Against freedom, it is nothing but a quagmire. Oh, if only I had not been fooled, so that I could not remain without freedom.